What's good YouTube? Welcome to my channel, Lars and Conditioning. Steve Shore is probably one of the best within the fitness industry. And this Steve Shore in particular is from the Massive Iron channel. He has been on YouTube, I believe at this point, for 15 years, potentially even longer. At least I remember watching him in my early young stages of lifting and looking at his advice. And he has been singing the same song for so long, and he always preaches that you should get some good overall general strength. And getting good overall general strength is going to create a very good wide base that if you want to do a certain sport or get better at other types of sport, if you have a very good wide base of strength, it also opens a lot more doors to wanting to do something or change lanes versus if you were to do purely just train for, let's say, bodybuilding. If you only do that, then your style of training becomes extremely narrow and you're only going to go down that path. Then what happens if you want to make a change and you have not built a good wide base of general strength? You have to a large extent, sort of start over. And this is something that Steve Shore, he preaches against, that you shouldn't hyper-specialize towards something, especially as a normal person. And that's, I think, one of the biggest takeaways of him. He very much talks about like the normal person. So not someone who actively pursues a career in powerlifting, strongman, bodybuilding, or something else entirely. The general person, which is probably at least 90% of his viewers, or most viewers on here in YouTube Fitness as a whole. And this is completely correct. You, as a general person, you don't really have anything to gain from being very specialized in doing something very specific. Sure, you may get bigger lifting numbers in that particular aspect, but it's not really going to enhance your life, so to speak. It's not going to make it inherently better or worse. So this is why like having a good overall general base of strength with the big movements and a large variety of the bigger movements, not just like being good at deadlift or being good at bench, but all the big things: squat, bench, deadlift, overhead presses, hinges, carries, all these fundamental human movements. And he talks about actually doing this and becoming very good at them. And this is an extremely good thing to do, and especially doing weighted carries, because what do we do basically in our everyday life? We do some sort of weighted carry to a lesser extent that you would probably do in your own training, of course, but we still do it. And being good at weighted carries outside of the gym will have extremely good benefits for you. And it also makes it easier when you have to move stuff around. It's going to make it extremely easier for you instead of going out to hire a bunch of people to get them help you to move stuff. If you know you have the strength to do it, you can just do it yourself. And that makes, I would say, life as a whole of a lot easier when you know you can just do something, because you know you already have built the strength to do it, and you also have the overall general strength to do certain tasks that you otherwise would not have if you over-specialized in something. I train with a lot of powerlifters, and even though on the powerlifting movements, a lot of the time, they are a lot better than a lot of other strongmen would be on the same movements. But if we zoom out and look at a broader spectrum of work and type of lifts, then the strongman who trains with a lot of weighted carries and very different implements as well, they will be significantly better at those particular aspects. And that's a hugely important factor, I would say, for the average person to actually be able to do this. Instead of being so hyper-focused on building the absolute most amount of muscle. And the thing is, when it comes to training that is good enough to stimulate good enough hypertrophy, is going to be, well, ironically enough, good enough for the average person. If you're not trying to chase some sort of like professional bodybuilding career, trying to get 5% more gains in terms of your muscle size, it's not really going to matter all that much. And those 5% more that you may have to do, the things that you have to do in order to get those 5, maybe 10% more, it may actually cost you in very different areas of life that you may not want to sacrifice. So this is why I say Steve Shore is probably one of the best, because it preaches a good overall general strength and preaching good overall, good enough hypertrophy training without getting over specialized. Thank you for watching. Lars Conditioning, signing out.